over and over, I can see why kids don't like clowns. I'm saying there's in fact live and living individuals out here that are in fact killer clowns. And I'm guessing possibly even they ain't saying, trust and believe. I say that all the time. There could be, I myself in fact love clowns, right? Let me see, you had it as in the film, the movie, right? I'm not talking about no like McDonald's. Yeah, no Ronald McDonald type of clown. No, right? Yeah, I can't really. Yes, I in fact love the movie It, right? When I was a kid, I didn't. Not too many individuals did, right? The thrill of the movie, yes, but in real life, that you gotta understand the fine line of real life and entertainment, where they in fact meet head to head. Some people in fact take entertainment a little bit too far, as in you can watch a movie, play and have fun with that sort of thing, as in watching the film, as is, yes, with that, and yet you wouldn't want to be out here stabbing and butchering people and cutting them up in the process, or any type of other way, as in suffocation and all that sort of thing. You wouldn't want to. I think sometimes people in fact take entertainment too far, because see, a clown and how you had that sort of thing as in a circus and all that was there too since the beginning of time, right? The circus and Ringling Brothers and all that type of stuff. Even that, when I point a direction in that, is to say even that has helped and serviced, yes, some of the entertainment industry as well. Even the behind the scenes, as in where you take from stuff and you borrow from stuff. Even the built, yes, I was gonna say big record labels and all that other stuff, but you do have the Insane Clown Posse and stuff like that. Those individuals are in fact cool too. What? Insane Clown Posse, they in fact are real, right? When they rap and all that other stuff, right? And yes, sometimes people that watch them, they do take that stuff too far, the entertainment, where they would in fact go out here and kill. And yet with John Wayne, yes, Gacy, with him, that was a little, let me see, the Clown and Insane Clown Posse, they in fact came later, right? But could they have in fact been inspired by him? I allow you, the viewer, to tell me. Anybody, I'm saying, yeah, entertainment should be fun, but don't get to killing folks, no. Unless they did something wrong to you or something. Yes. Did I say this already? Like, subscribe, ID in the Discovery channel. Yes, ID in the Discovery channel. The links are provided below. Get that Discovery Go app as well as that ID Go app. You might in fact want to get those two and combine them together. Make them as one. However you choose fit with that sort of thing. But yeah, so let me ask this. Pertaining to a John Wayne Gacy. I'm not too much familiar with even him because of my age, and yet it helps to have a open, bright mind, as in taking the time to even see who he was. Even in his day, as he was known as being, yes, one of those killer clowns, right? The killer clowns of today don't even match and represent even what he has did and has done. I'm saying most people try to say, well, there's copycats out here, right? Maybe so. I don't even know. Possibly so. Maybe so. Let me think. The deeper I look into this, and yet even he was hiding bodies up underneath his house, right? So could killer clowns, yes, today, younger, much in age? No, not. I'm saying the generation level. Let me see. Because even his time period back then, he was younger. So if he was at the age he was, even in, say, in 2018, because somebody still hold that type of mindset where they're doing that type of thing and sneaking and getting away with that sort of activity. Killer clown. And burying people up underneath your home, your house established or something. Oh, that's just the worst in itself. So let me see. Could a swing set ask? Because she want to ask, with all these individuals, what was the cause of what and why? Their mindset, right? I always ask in every single video, the mindset, what could have been a cause? Could genes have played a part in this or that, or could a freak accident or something could have played a part or something? What was the cause of somebody wanting to murder in the first place? Because I'm thinking with mental illness, not all killers have that sort of thing, mental illness, and yet many do, right? Some people have been known to be smacked upside the head by something, such as a ball or something, by accident, and then their whole personality is altered afterwards, right? So I wonder if that could have been the case with even a John Wayne Gacy, right? Could a swing set accident involving Gacy at the age of 11, could that have turned Gacy into a serial killer or something more? Yes, he in fact suffered from heart ailments and all the rest that comes later, right? But Gacy, when he was just 11 years old, a swing in which Gacy was playing on hit him in the head or upside the head, which led to Gacy suffering with a blood clot in his brain, which was not discovered until he was 16 years old. Could that have in fact imposed damage on the brain of a young Gacy at that time and altered his brain and his mindset and everything else? Because even accidents are prone to alter. You got people that in fact play in sports, NFL, where they've been cracked and knocked upside the head despite a helmet. Yes, protecting their heads, concussions and all that comes with NFL players. Players is what I'm trying to say. Concussions, and yes, there's even conditions that come with that when you are playing in the NFL sports like that, being banged into upside the head when you got a helmet on over long periods of time. Some people have fits of rage after that because their brain has been altered. The impact of something cracking you upside the head can in fact alter and change the man. The sciences is telling, and even that. Look up that. Head blows in NFL players. This looks like one of those sort of situations, maybe or maybe not. You might in fact want to consult a psychologist or even psychiatrist about this sort of thing. A John Wayne Gacy, and ask them of what I just spoke on if you don't know with the research, right? But yes, a swing, in fact, yes, at him being 11 years old, cracked him right upside the head. And then the blood clot in his brain was not discovered until he was 16 years old. Remember, there's fine-tuned development in even that. When a child is 11 years old, and then that's a ways away from 16, where even puberty and all the rest match with that sort of thing, as in you developing somewhat slightly and yet somewhat on the way, all the way, right? And something hitting you and altering you, because that's physical development too, right? Early childhood education points in with that too. Early childhood education, yes, early childhood development, right? Because that's not a grown man. He wasn't when this took place. That could have did anything to his brain, that swing hitting him. Because to say a blood clot was there is to say, well, what else was there as well in the damage? And yet I'm thinking if they were able to see that a blood clot was there is to say that more likely a x-ray or something, yes, was around during that time just enough to know that a blood clot was there, right? I'm thinking something was shifted in Gacy's brain. Because even chemical points in with that as well. Mood swings, get knocked upside the head is to say, well, what was knocked out of place somewhat? Could serotonin have an effect in that being altered? Because see, to knock something, I'm thinking even that will be like on a MRI or CAT scan or one of the two, where say something is you knocked upside the head and then there's a blockage or something somewhere outside of a blood clot, where even that will point in with serotonin when it comes to mood regulation and all that. because that poses problems too. If something blocks something, is to say, well, how smoothly could serotonin move throughout the brain, just enough to regulate even mood or something, and not have mood swings and stuff, and then be killing people with that, the tragic loss and the death that follows stuff like that. So yes, with the blows of the head by the swing at 11 years old, with that sort of thing, the incident, Gacy, when he was diagnosed, somewhat, you had the time frame with that between the timing of the incident of Gacy being diagnosed. He suffered from blackouts. The blackouts. I paused because, see, even serial killers have been known to have blackouts as well. Did you or did you not know that? The viewer, I allow you to answer that question. That's why I paused, because when it comes to blackouts, yes, serial killers have been known to have that sort of thing, right? They will in fact tell you, well, I don't remember such and such because I blacked out. And that information is shared by them, usually after multiple people have been killed or something. That's why I'm saying that. So between the time of the incident of Gacy being diagnosed, he suffered from blackouts caused by the blood clot, which was treated with medication. That's odd in itself. That completely, because yeah, the blackouts with these serial killers is completely, that's not a rare oddity. No, it's not. Because see, the fits of some of these serial killers in fact come across charming and all the rest, and then when ain't nobody around or whatever, the fits of rage that goes with that sort of thing. I have rage, my mom has rage, or whatever, right? There's many individuals, and yet we're not serial killers, right? But the blackout aspect, when the serial killers black out, what is up underneath that? Yes, because rage could in fact make you black out, and I said that already, right? Something about the scientific measure of these individuals' brains need to be studied more, and likely a whole lot more. The serial killers, the brains. There's only so much, but as further technology go, more and more is going to come out with even that. The furthering of telling, even pertaining to these serial killers in their brain, and the alteration with that sort of thing, because there's something about that the science is. You might in fact want to see what that is and treat that sort of thing and get it out the way so you don't have more killings in the process, right? But yes, so the blood clot and all the rest was treated with medication, and yet you still in the end had him brutally, yes, raping and killing teenage boys of all humans. Teenage boys. Gacy's father, some of his history includes his father was an alcoholic who abused his wife physically and scolded, yes, or harshly criticized his children. Yes, Gacy's father in fact did that sort of thing. Some people don't take too well to even their own father, say physically beating on their mother, yes, and them being children, young children at that, being harshly criticized and scolded as well. You want to question, could that have been the design as well as mind of a killer? The treatment of being a child. Could that have formed a Gacy into he was sitting back watching his father say, yes, not kill the wife, not Gacy's father kill the wife, no, physically beating his wife, Gacy's father, and then the father, criticizing, because see, that's a crack at the self-esteem as well. You tearing down young children, yes, who are young children, little children, right? And you the parent. It's not like you're an outsider. It's different, say, if an outsider, some kids are prone and able to take that, but anytime you're a parent, many children don't take too well to that. They grow up with all type of mental issues and sometimes become what Christians love to call demons when they start killing. They get back at those who they feel got at them, and yet it be innocent victims with that, right? Gacy once worked in a funeral home as a janitor after dropping out of high school. Yes. And the dropout of the high school, in fact, stemmed from family problems. All serial killers have issues what humans don't, right? You just sometimes, because see, I've heard people say, well, you know, there was an individual that I was speaking to when outside of serial killers, when it comes to like school mass murders and stuff like that, right? People will say, well, what makes them, you know, the killer? They were basically saying don't use excuses for them, right? They were basically saying don't use excuses for these sort of people, right? And then they was trying to ask, well, what makes them so different and so special for even them to be set up on a pedestal? Because, yeah, even in American media, yeah, the celebrity status of the serial killer and public giving them so much attention, people feel sometimes what makes these individuals so special, right? And yet I'm thinking awareness, you would want the awareness there, as in not building them up, giving them clout, no, but you would more likely want to know that they're there and could be sitting amongst you even in today in society, and yet not know they're there. And yet those type of people could in fact be practicing what even a Gacy was practicing, or what so many serial killers was practicing. That's not to say no, that's not saying that they're special. When media puts out and portrays them in a limelight, no, that is not at all. They ain't special not one bit because they killed. But you want to know who they are. So, yes, the history of even more history. He was in fact a rapist and serial killer who sexually assaulted, tortured, and murdered at least 33 teenage boys and young men during the times of 1972 and 1978. The location, Cook County, Illinois. Did you get that? Shouts out to Cook County, Illinois. You might want to be on the lookout in case if there's copycats out there with all these crooks out here putting on costumes, yes, trying to act like, yeah, clowns. You can look all across YouTube across, and I'm so glad even YouTube shut all that down pertaining to some of these folks trying to play like killer clowns and was really literally stabbing people in the process and filming it and putting it on YouTube for it to be seen by other individuals. That's a no-go. That ain't never gonna work. No. Yeah, so he died on May 10th, 1994 at Stateville Correctional Center in Crest Hill, Illinois. He went by the name of Pogo the Clown. Yes, in his former years, when he was around, Pogo the Clown. I don't think I would have trusted even him by his name. Pogo. No. Pogo the Clown, yes, John Wayne Gacy himself, pardon. At one time was both charming and likable as well as respected in his community. He spent much of his free time hosting semi-lavish street parties. Yes, somewhat lavish street parties. In his free time, that's what Gacy loved to do. Host parties for his neighbors and his friends. He also served in community groups. He was sure a community man to be over here just doing all this and that with some teenage boys, as in raping and violation. That could be how he got in on even doing that to them. That's too is how people, yes, take advantage, getting in on some community groups and all that other stuff, taking advantage of these young boys, because even the priest was known for doing that. Yes, but with him serving in the community and community groups, underneath all the elaborate clown scheme, yes, was another side to John Wayne Gacy, which the public failed to see and know. And his killing endeavors was one. Endeavors! If you don't know what that is, you better look that up, that killing endeavor. These young victims, these boys. That's nothing nice and sexual about that. That turns me all the way off. I'm gonna look at some young boy and I'm however old and he ain't. Some of these young kids, whatever pertaining to that, they ain't even old enough to get it up. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm loose in the lips with even that, as in what I just said. You can take advantage of somebody and they can't even get it up. Or maybe a 16, yes, would. 17, 18, and yet that's too far away in age. That's too much. You want something real wholesome or something, not that. So, yeah, even much more elaborate history on Gacy, yes. Slanderation, and that ain't even a word yet. I just made it one. It's my slander appeal. At one point, Gacy, he was noted to be the man of the year. See what I'm saying? You never even know who is what and why and doing what in the closet. With that, this man was in fact at one point in his life, even during all that time of doing whatever he did, yes, with victims involved, he was noted man of the year. That makes me look over at the closet at many politicians is what I'm trying to say. I try to leave politics out, and yet you don't even know about man of the year, as in what's behind it. So in his community, who could have ever knew he too made many friends? Yes, with this sort of thing, that's what I'm saying. The friendships with even them not knowing. Who could have ever even known that this man was doing all the stuff that he was doing? I'm just completely utter not in shock. The shock has came and went. And yet, once again, politicians. Could there be any people that are politicians that operated and possibly still do today, like a John Wayne Gacy? Yes, he had various friends. I stated that. So, alongside the title of salesman, learning the restaurant business, and being a volunteer, nobody knew what he was doing. With that, right? So Gacy married a co-worker named Marilyn Myers, not Michael Myers, sister of the movie Halloween. No. John Carpenter and all that, Halloween the film. No, but he in fact married, yes, a co-worker by the name of Marilyn Myers. He and she brought both a son and daughter into this world, moving to Iowa after their births. They moved to Iowa. I have never ever been to Iowa, out of all places. So yes, they moved to Iowa after the children's births. My lisp. Can't hardly pronounce. All was so grand, or so they thought. Some of these serial killers, when I said did nobody know, or how couldn't nobody know, right? I think sometimes some of these serial killers in fact be killing a lot much more younger, and possibly even in childhood without it being said. I don't know why I can see that. Even a Gacy. That man, because see, to put on something about the clown and all, to put on a fashion show and want to be a clown, yes, a fashion show, to want to be a fashion nasta, whatever, putting on a show with that sort of thing, fashion show, whatever, fashion police, right? It's to say you like childlike things and yet you're a grown man. That's got Peter Pan etched in that as well. No, not Michael Jackson, no. And not even a hologram. And yet with even that, it makes you want to ask, was even John Gacy possibly a child killer? Not a killer of children, no. Killing way back before his time. Right around the time when even his father was physically abusing his mother, around up And yeah, up in age, not that up in age, no, about that far back, could John Wayne Gacy have been killing other young boys, or maybe even girls, during even that age when his father was physically abusive back then? That is in fact questionable, because to be drawn, I said before, I like clowns, yes, but I had no interest in butchering and all that other stuff. That's not me, right? But something about this man, because he was a pedophile. He was in fact a pedophile, and yeah. I don't know. That would make me even question if even his own father was molesting him. See, I look at stuff like that, because to say that a grown man was a father abusing in the worst way, physical abuse, sometimes that's to even ask, could even Gacy's father have been molesting him or something? I don't know. I side-eye things, especially when clowns and butcher knives come into play. That's basically all I'm trying to say, right? So yes, when it comes to the marriage and the kids and all with that, right, there was no grand finale with that sort of thing. No, it wasn't, because all the gay rumors followed later on in the mix. So questions along with rumors of Gacy's attraction for the same sex and his sexual preference all became questionable. It all that right there all spread like wildfire amongst the town itself. The town and the townspeople and all the rest, yes. And all the witch hunt with that. Witch hunt. You don't know what that is? You better look that up. And real quick. Yeah, so all that, them gay rumors and all that, yes, it in fact spread like wildfire amongst the town and the townspeople. The reason for the questions over his sexual preference was the company of young boys Gacy kept in tow. He loved to keep young boys around, and that sort of thing is going to be questionable. In fact, yes, older friends I've had and all that other stuff, not being serial killers, there was stuff in question on my end, as well as older other individuals I chose to be friends with. Anytime that sort of thing goes on between somebody that's much more younger, a teenager, and somebody much more older, and then a much more older person has a teen around all the time, is to say people are going to start gay rumors. It just has to happen sooner or later, because they will want to know, well, why is a much older individual keeping so much company and so much time with somebody much more younger than them? Something more has to be going on, as in something more must be up underneath that. And possibly sexual, because yes, a much older man congregating with younger boys, a lot younger than him, is to say, what do y'all do together? And where do you go? Are you playing as a father figure to the boys? Or what? That's off the hook. So yes, they was all in, yeah, with that sort of thing, the rumors and all that pertaining to him keeping so much company with these young boys. There was also statements of, yes, there was also statements of, yeah, with that sort of thing as well. I just stated that. There was issues pertaining to the restaurant in which Gacy was employed at about these young boys. That sort of thing you would want to, I mean, because see, you can say all type of things, like it could be a mentor with that sort of thing, right? It depends on the situation, as in why the young boys is there, as in what purpose they serve to you being much more older. Are you looking after them because, say, they don't have a father in the home and you're much more older, having them young boys up under you? Or are you using them to service you? Because the public is going to question even that, and they should. Because they more likely wouldn't want their young family member to be a part of that, as in be molested or raped, and it comes out later on or something, right? So when it came to him working at the restaurant and all these statements of Gacy might be gay and all this other stuff, his family chose to ignore that sort of thing, as in they didn't believe the rumors. They believed him being gay and all the rest, rumors and all that. They didn't really fall for that sort of thing. They just looked at it as, well, just rumors. Because, you know, sometimes people do, in fact, just like to start rumors for the hell of it. Some people sometimes in life don't have their own life, which is why rumors are there to begin with. And yet, for a better approach is to say sometimes even rumors can help in a situation, as in, yeah. They, in fact, yes, rumors, in fact, do serve a purpose, yes, depending on the situation. With this, it helps to, in fact, convict a man like a Gacy. Because to be raping somebody up the asshole that's 16 and 17, 18, that's too much. So, yes, the raping and the rape of the teenage boys. Gacy's gay rumor soon enough became a truth. Not all rumors end that way. No, they don't. Some rumors are just that. As in they stand for nothing and with nothing, which is how they in fact hit the ground. With that as in going nowhere much more further than the rumor itself, right? And yet for Gacy on his end, the rumor was in fact, yes, full of life. In place of being lifeless, right? So despite victims being involved, my apologies. But yeah, May 1968, grand jury indicted, yes, Gacy in Black Hawk County. I had to break that down because I didn't want to say that as one whole word swiftly. Yes, so in 1968, the grand jury indicted him in Black Hawk County for committing sodomy towards a male teenager by the name of Mark Miller. Supposedly the teenager Miller shared in the courtroom. Gacy tricked him. Now why would you want to do that? That's like playing Captain Hook or something with some young boy. To trick somebody to have sex with you and all that is in fact to play Captain Hook or something strange like that, right? So yeah, Mark Miller, supposedly, yes, this teenager, he shared in the courtroom. Gacy tricked him into being, yes, to be tied up. Tied up. A boy. That don't sound like no fun, sexually tying up no young boy in that manner. Gacy did this during the time when Miller visited Gacy's home. It said Gacy violently violated Miller through the forms of violent rape. Gacy denied the rape. He offered Miller. Yes, let me pause right quick. Because I'm trying to pinpoint with even that. That's almost in the style like when I spoke about, when I mentioned in the Ted Bundy video I made about BDSM, how some people in fact get off on that type of thing, and yet that's usually used for adults and not children. Teenage boys, those are in fact children as well, right? Tying up somebody. That's in fact BDSM. That's not gonna work out. It ain't nothing sexual about watching no little kids suffer tied up like that sort of thing. That's what you in fact call the mind of a sadist. Do you know what a sadist is? It's people that get off and ejaculate and all the rest based upon the suffering of others. That's more likely what John Wayne Gacy was, and I need to research even on my end to see if that's what he could have been, because see, to allow somebody be tied up and they be trying to fight to get up out of that and possibly crying, I can see it visually. A child, right? That's to say that's sadist activity. Goes in with BDSM. I just stated that. That's suffering beyond suffering. No, he should have been hung with his own rope or whatever he chose to use for the boy. Gacy denied the rape offered by Miller. Gacy stated that yes, a young Miller willingly had sex with Gacy for purposes of Miller, that young teen boy, earning money from Gacy. That's crook in itself. How you gonna try to flip that and say that's off the hook? The mindset of some of these people. That's erroneous in itself, and I don't mean the zone. That's sad in itself. So you're gonna take advantage of this young boy and say he willingly wanted that sex and all the rest from you, just so that the boy can earn money. He flipped it on the kid, because even that's in the form of prostitution. He tried to, basically that's what Gacy's motive was, is to make the young boy, young child I will call him because he was a teen. Gacy tried to make that young boy, young child look as if he was already a prostitute to begin with or something. That was his point. Making a young Miller seem as if he was into prostitution when he wasn't. You was just throwing that out there so you wouldn't be found out, knowing that you was trying to, yes, aim on even taking advantage of him, in which you did. Gacy, can you hear me out there? Because I see all the way through, on even the windshield, and possibly cracked at that. So yeah, Gacy was charged with hiring an 18-year-old Dwight Anderson to beat Gacy's victim, the individual I just spoke on, Mark Miller, pertaining to, yes, this fake little prostitution ordeal. It wasn't stated that, and yet I see it for what it is, right? Gacy gonna take the time and hire somebody 18 years old to beat that boy, just for him opening his mouth over the rape situation. That was his way to silence that victim. That's sad in itself. So all that in the end led to Gacy serving 10 years at Iowa State Reformatory. Yes, reformatory. But guess what goes around always come around, because with Gacy having that 18-year-old, yes, beat that victim of his, that 18-year-old ended up, yes, turning in Gacy. He turned against him and turned him in. That's why it helps to handle your own dirty deed by not hiring somebody else to beat and silence a victim of yours. That ain't ever gonna work. Saying. Did non-disclosures exist back then? I think they did. But yeah, that is in fact what he got in the end. That's his fault. So Gacy's wife divorced Gacy after he was sent off to prison. The reason his wife divorced him is because of violation of the wedding vows. She divorced him, yes, because of them teenage boys. That was a violation. Anytime some grown man go and rape and molest and be beaten and silencing his victims that were teenage boys, and he's a male at that, right? I believe in same-sex stuff, but not in the form of taking advantage like that, no. But with that, the wife, she couldn't agree with even that, the violation of the vows. That would have made her look bad as a wife, to know that her husband was beating and silencing young victims, and she's still living and laid up in the bed in the house with him. Some of that would in fact impose disgrace on the family, and possibly even yes, if they would have had children, and yeah, having children, I'm saying that makes your children look bad too, if anybody does that sort of thing, right? So fast forwarding through, after prison around the year of 1972, Gacy married Carol Hoff. Some people say Huff, I say Hoff. In 1972, Gacy married Carol Hoff. She fell for his sweetness and his charm. All this sweetness and charm is new. And self-absorption with that sort of thing, with the charm and the sweetness. If you're a wicked man, why not just stand as a wicked man? Because nobody more than likely don't want that sort of thing, is why. With all this fake fuckery, right? So yeah, Carol Hoff, in fact, she had 2 daughters after marrying him. And sometimes their neighbors, or what some people like to call company or mates, companions, whatever you like to call it, right? They would have company over at their house, right? And while they would be sitting there and all the rest, there would be this odd stench of neighbors and coming by. There would be an odd stench within the house, and it smelled like a dead animal. And yet even that was a cover-up, that even the neighbor, company, whatever else didn't know what the stench was. That was in fact one of Gacy's cover-ups. So in 1975, when I say cover-ups, I allow you, the viewer, to pick that apart and try to see what even your awareness, right? What that could have been, that stench in the house while the neighbor was there visiting. So 1975, Gacy's relationship with the wifey, yes, his own wife, their love was at odds between one another. Gacy, yes, he in fact suffered from shifts of moods. Do you know what that is? Mood swings, violent moods and tendencies with even that, feeling up, feeling down, and all the way around, right? Those mood swings in fact brought on insomnia. So he was wide awake when he should have been asleep in the middle of the night. I wonder what else was going on with that insomnia on Gacy's end. So through all of this, Carol, his wife, she began to find magazines full of boys and naked men. She found magazines, yes, full of naked boys and naked men, right? And after the wifey found this sort of thing, Gacy came out and admitted the magazines were indeed his. And my question from my end to his is to ask, well, who else could they have been? Would a wife sit back and be looking at naked young boys, little boys at that, and grown men, possibly looking at grown men in magazines, but not a little boy? I don't think. There's in fact women with that preference as well, but yeah. Speaking back on to Gacy's situation. So yeah, he owned up on the pornos. And then he goes on to confess to wifey Carol that he preferred very young men over women. That's a slap to the face as well. I bet she was grieving for years on end, on top of end with that. And I don't mean an asshole or booty hole or whatever you call that sort of thing, right? Because I'm guessing with me saying that, no, it's not about the preference part with me saying that, no. I'm guessing even a woman's intuition had to be there, because even for her to live amongst him and to know that a neighbor could smell some stench that smelled like a dead body is to say even the wife had to have smelled it too. And it couldn't have been an asshole. I don't think she was thinking that, no. That woman had to have known something. You're living in the same house. Most women are known to clean, is what I'm trying to say. And yet not all wives do. Living in a house with a husband, folding clothes and cleaning up stuff and putting clothes away, and living in a house where there's a dead rotting stench of something that smells like an animal. You don't think no wife is going to walk through the house and try to figure out what that smell is? And yet he's living in the house hiding stuff that's dead, right? I'm thinking that woman have had enough or something. As in something had to be there telling to her outside of just these magazines. They had to. I can't see, only a woman in the right mind of a bright mind will be living in a home and she's smelling stuff, and then yes, I'm thinking a bright woman would go try to see what that is. Because I can't see sitting in the living room and I smell some rotting flesh of something, and I'm just sitting up there in the living room smoking a cigarette, right? Watching Days of Our Lives or whatever pertaining to even that. One Life to Live. That's funny, One Life to Live. Sitting in the living room smoking a cigarette, watching One Life to Live or something, Days of Our Lives or something. Just sitting there smoking and puffing and all that. Like, well, what does that smell? And going out, say, I'll be back. Dear TV screen, I'll be back. Let me go to the store so I can get rid of this stench and this odor. I don't know what it is. Let me go buy a few more packs of some puffs, cigarettes, smokes to put that odor out or something. They never did say whether his wife was a smoker or not. But I'm thinking to cover up the scent of some rotting odor, in which even Gacy didn't completely cover up, is to say it had to have been there. Even that while they were sitting up there, yes, fumbling over dinner and conversation, I'm saying. Couples back then, yeah, used to have conversations and all the rest after work and all that, right? How do you sit there, a wife, and you smelling the stench of rotting flesh? So yes, with all this confession of him in those gay boy magazines, right? Kitty porn and all that, right? With his confession of that led to his divorce, March 1976. It ain't so hard to see that even that was coming. And not only that, what makes me question, because see, even my mind goes much more deeper, as in pure up underneath the doorstep. And possibly a in-home crawl space wherever even he was hiding bodies, right? Gacy, I'm saying. It's to say, well, when the woman left the house, his house, and she took her clothes with her, did the stench of those rotting, whatever it was, dead in the house, was a stench still layered on her clothing? Justin believed it had to have been there. That stench, the aroma in the air, once she left him and she moved away up out of the house or wherever she chose to go after they was divorced or whatever, it's to say even that odorous odor, and I don't mean chemical, or possibly so, gas is leaking out of a dead body and all the rest, right, coming up through the home. That odor had to be in that woman's clothing once she left him. I can sense that. So a listing of victims. I don't want to sit and name all the victims all day. I should. And yet this is so sad. It's not enough time, right? But Gacy, yes. Gacy didn't let the divorce faze him. He, in fact, just was chipper and moved on with even that. Let me fast forward. I wonder if Gacy was a borderline schizophrenic or something. Because all this clowning with that, yeah. So amongst the sex and murder victims of Gacy would include a 16-year-old Tony Antonucci. That's got to be Italian or something. Italian? Antonucci. I'll say Antonucci. I like how that sounds. Antonucci. Right? That's almost like African though. Yeah, so that victim was 16 years old, taken advantage of by Gacy, and what was all in that mess and scandal was sexual advances, just like every other victim. Okay, so one of his other victims included a 17-year-old Johnny Bukovic. Yes, I'm hoping I'm saying that right. Another victim is 17-year-old Michael Bonin. I don't want to use the term boning. That's too close to even Gacy's own end. So Michael Bonin. Another victim also included a Billy Carroll. The list goes on and on. Let me fast forward even more in the motion. Gacy confessed. Yes, he should have confessed it a lot sooner by not even getting started. So yes, Gacy in fact confessed in the killing of someone. Not all, but someone. This ain't the ending. We almost there, right? But yeah, he in fact confessed to killing someone in self-defense during an in-depth investigation of Gacy. Why wouldn't you just confess everything on a spot and let that be the end of that? But yeah, killer couldn't even think that far. And then for the thrill, because people ask, well, why do serial killers kill in the first place? Supposedly it's the thrill in that sort of thing. That sounds like some very loose bolted screws, let me tell you. So, December 22nd, 1978, Gacy admitted to police he killed at least 30 people, and most of the remains were buried up under his house. He explained to police the ways in which he lured his innocent prey. And of course, the neighbors of all people were horrified and shocked and all the rest in relation to the revelation of that. Because see, they lived amongst it for that long and didn't even know it was there. It helps to know, and yet sometimes you don't, right? I'm saying you don't ever know who's around you in the atmosphere. Some of these, and what's so weird about the whole serial killer thing, even with a John Gacy, right? Some of these individuals they come across even to their neighbors so lovingly. Oh, well, I'll take out your trash. Oh, I'll water your grass. Oh, well, I'll do this and they sometimes be overly friendly, and sometimes not even all the way overly friendly. But other people are just like them and be drawn to them, right? And yet they be killing people in the process. Teenage boys killing them and all that, and killing children and stuff. That sort of thing I can't be bothered. Why? Which could be why I got trust issues to begin with, because that's a no-go. Killing people and walking off with that. No. That ain't even gonna. So, shouts out to Lieutenant Joe Kenda, to be exact. Homicide Hunter. You can add this to your favorites. Shouts out to Paula, baby. Fatal Vows. Evil Lives Here. Blood Relatives. Twisted. Red Rum. American Monster. The Perfect Murder. You can add this to your favorites. Either one of these, you can add them to your favorites if you just click the plus sign. Someone You Thought You Knew. Unlocked Episodes, To Catch a Killer, Season 1, Episode 1. Twisted Sisters, we got that. Blood Runs Code. What Lies Beneath, it just zoomed right past. Twisted, Murder by Numbers, The Last Defense, Season 1, Episode 1, expiring in 17 days. You might want to check that out before it's gone. And you can also add that to your watch later, but more than likely, what the expiration date is to say, the choice is yours. So Deadline, Crime with Tamron Hall. On Last Night, Fatal Vows, Season 6, Episode 5. In order to, gain access gain access. I was right about that with my first approach, right? Always go with your first thought. And don't try to skim over with that, right? But to gain access with this, as in a sign in, is to do the right thing and provide your provider, as in who's your TV provider? Not completely, but semi on the way. Cable, who has cable? Or are you a cable cutter? I should ask even that, right? But that all fits in and points in with that sort of thing, right? It will help you get through, is all I'm trying to say. So, descriptions are all here. There's no regulation with even that. The Killer Closer, Season 1, Episode 5. Most Evil Ranked, Season 1, Episode 10. These are all the shows. ID Original Series. Twisted, Pamela Smart, The Missing Pieces. I did a video on Pamela Smart. Yes, I did. Right. Not completely, but just a little bit on a scandal. Schedule preview. Crime feed news. To click here is in fact be directed on the outside layer, as in you in fact go from here to there to the crime feed, which is crimefeed.com. This is where this is going to take you, the link. And then to want to be receiving newsletters is to in fact type in your email address and then click next with that sort of thing, and then you will in fact be on the tag along, not YouTube tag along. No, that's to sign up for something and then be dragged and tied along in even a newsletter, something like the printing press and subscription and all the rest, and yet you ain't paying all like that. You ain't paying. Totally, completely free. So yes, what do you think and feel about even killer clowns today, and even a John Gacy, where even his eyes match with that sort of thing? How do you feel about clowns? Do you fear them? What do you feel about clowns? There's in fact individuals, all kinds of all nationalities and all the rest, that have a hatred for clowns. And more than likely that movie It, yes, did that sort of thing. That's what films do. They have impacts on the masses. Whether, yes, funny film comedy or even tragedy, such as a It in a clown suit. So I think that's all to be said for now, and I'm going to end out this video, and I am gone.